The following is a presentation of KSL Sports. First and 12. A total roundup of BYU and Utah football and the expanded Big 12 Conference. Subscribe to the First and 12 podcast. Your hosts are Mitch Harper and Alex Kirry on KSL News Radio.
Having a great time. Year 3 of First and 12 on a new night, Tuesdays, here on the program, and every week we will be here on KSL News Radio talking Big 12 football. We'll talk BYU and Utah too, but we're going to cover this league inside and out over the next 15 or so weeks as the chase to Arlington here in Big 12 football. Mitch Harper, Alex Kirry with you, and you teased it, Alex, on the previous segment, but the Big 12 coaches, there is a lot of intrigue with these coaches. So many different personalities, so many different angles to kind of dive into the coaches in this conference. Just kind of big picture, what do you make of just the overall makeup of this collection of characters, if you will?
Here locally, you got Kalani going into his 10th year, which is wild, right?
Yes.
I mean, like, we've been covering this guy for 10 years already, which is almost the amount of time. What was Bronco at BYU? 11 years?
Yeah.
I mean, in a moment, he's going to be the longest tenured head coach in BYU football, or the second longest tenured coach in BYU football history behind LaVell Edwards, his own coach. And you know what? He's done a phenomenal job. You think about the Portland State game that BYU has coming up this week has made me think a lot about that 2017 season overall, because it was such a weird start to it. And Portland State was that weird start. And I wonder what, this is going to look like. But I think about how far Kalani's come. That's a great storyline. And at the same time, here locally, we're all wondering what Kyle Whittingham is going to be doing. He walked away from the almost retired talk. You could tell he was sick of hearing from it. The comment that he made about, I'm probably not going to be at that Miami and
Yes.
Utah game in Las Vegas. When he said that last year at Media Days, it started up this whole weird thing about everybody retiring Kyle Whittingham for him. He's got a lot of work that he wants done. He keeps calling last year a debacle. I love that he uses that term. He's like, I like doing this. I'm having fun doing this. Last year was not fun, and I'm telling you, if he has a really, really fun season this year, maybe Morgan Scalley has to just be the coach and waiting for as long as Kyle has fun.
Well, and that's the challenge, too, for Utah. When you look at Kyle Whittingham, is that Whittingham's a legend. He's their version of LaVell. As far as, like, you build a statue, Kyle Whittingham has done some great things for Utah. But at the same time, Morgan Scalley, I think, has got big-time potential in recruiting, and I just think that you don't want to lose that guy. And at what point does he just get impatient and say, you know what? We know that he got pursued by USC. He's been pursued in the past by other Power 4 programs. At what point does he say, all right, I'm moving on? And that's kind of the juggling act that you got to the balance here. But I got to think that Kyle Whittingham's going to have a bounce back year. I'd be stunned if they go 5-7.
No,
I was stunned that they went 5-7 last year, but can they get to the upper tier of the league? I mean, we got to remember they haven't won a Big 12 home game yet since they joined this conference. So they went 2-7 a season ago. So when Whittingham says it was a debacle, it definitely was. And with Kalani Sitake, just can he keep the momentum going? He gets a long-term contract extension last December. He's locked in now. And he's got his whole coaching staff with him. They've all been retained. And so Kalani Sitake's got the staff. It took a decade, but he's got all the coaches that he envisioned he needed and wanted when he took the job back in 2016. And there are other coaches in the Big 12, like Kalani, who also have recent contract extensions in the past year. Matt Campbell, just fresh off that huge win in Ireland, he's locked into 2032. Kenny Dillingham, Arizona State, he's locked in through 2029. And then Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, he's locked in through 2029.
Settle down. That guy, I'm going to say it right now, this is his last year at Colorado.
Maybe for the health, too.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. There's that on top of the fact that, like, what's really keeping him there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does he love doing this? Does he love coaching from that? Does he love living in Dallas and trying to commute up to Boulder? I have no clue.
I will say, though, him getting Juju Lewis, the heralded quarterback who's a true freshman, that kind of said to me that at least he's saying the right things, that I want to be all in. And we know Coach Prime, like, his style is maybe very unique by coaches, but he pretty much tells the truth. When a guy is going to play in a bowl game, he just says they're going to play, and then they end up playing. And he's not hiding behind things. So when he says, I want to coach Juju or coach these guys, like, I'm going to be here. But you do wonder just from the health perspective, because he battled cancer this offseason, and you go, how does that work? I mean, health-wise, you want to hopefully Coach Prime's going to be okay.
I just see those long-term contract extensions, and I see all those other guys, they want to be where they're at. And I just wonder about Coach Prime, how much he's going to say, you know what, I got to figure this out with my family. I got to make sure that I'm there for them. And his kids are growing up and moving on. And I don't know. Part of it is that I've chatted with the guys from Denver Sports across the mountains, our sister station across over there, and they're like, oh, we don't feel great about him staying very long. So there could be that. I might be affected by that as well. But you got a couple of repeat customers in Rich Rodriguez going to West Virginia and then Scott Frost to UCF, where he made his hay and basically earned his way back to coach at his alma mater at Nebraska. And then that was a disaster. He comes back. I think out of those two coaches, look, I don't hate Rich Rod at all, man. When he chatted with us at Big 12 Media Day, I kind of bought into all the things he was talking about. The guy's gotten a fresh, renewed look at how this thing goes. He feels comfortable there. I feel like Scott Frost is just like grasping for something at this point. I think there's a big difference between those two guys.
That's a great point. And I think with Rich Rod, my only complaint, this is very probably new generation. He's probably going to cringe if he ever heard something like this. But why is he taking away TikTok from the players? Like in an era where, like, why? That's so 2007. When Twitter first came about, hey, everyone's got to take away Twitter.
Put your phones away, kids.
Put them away. Like, you're taking away TikTok? As someone who's covering Ryder Lyons, the new BYU commit, the king of aura, TikTok is what it's all about these days, folks. But that's the only mishap from Rich Rod thus far. But I'm with you on Scott Frost. It just feels like UCF was not as desirable of a job as they thought they would be when they jumped into the Big 12. Gus Malzahn was a complete mess, and him leaving for Florida State kind of prevented them from having to do a big payout. But, I hope it works for Scott Frost, but I just don't know if they're going to recapture that 2017 national championship glory. And hopefully for him, it does work out so he avoids any sort of hot seat. But there are some coaches, I think, Alex, in this league with 16, coaches, there's a handful. I think that could be in the hot seat this year, potentially.
Last year it was Dave Aranda. I think this year Dave Aranda's not really on the hot seat. I think they're at least avoiding that talk because they don't want that vibe at all. I mean, certainly if they go 5-7 this year, then you're going to see some changes probably there. Joey McGuire, the expectations are huge at Texas Tech, but I think that's a program that really likes him. And
don't you think he's got to win like $40 million roster?
He
supposedly
does have to win. Yeah, but Cody Campbell really likes him.
That's true,
and that's the money guy. So who knows? Scott Satterfield is basically out the door. In my mind, he's out the door if Cincinnati can't win 8 or 9 games this year. Brent Brennan, I think they'll give him an extra season. Mike Gundy's an interesting study because we kind of have Kyle Whittingham and Mike Gundy in the same grouping, and they are nowhere near one another because Kyle Whittingham made some adjustments in his life. You know what I mean? Like he decided this NIL thing, I've got to live with it. The recruiting thing, I've got to live with it. The transfer portal, I'm going to redo my entire friggin' offense. Mike Gundy took $1 million salary cut because he's not getting it done. That's the equivalent of them telling him that's a vote of no confidence. And I think that Mike Gundy is not as interested in turning things around at this point. Now, does he regress back to what his mean is, which is winning? And can Oklahoma State get back to the point where they win 5-6 games in conference play? I mean, they went 0-9 last year. That was the biggest shock besides Arizona State on the entire thing. To have 0 wins in conference from Mike Gundy's Oklahoma State team, absolutely wild.
If you're Oklahoma State, you're hoping this salary cut turns into a situation as it did for Michigan a handful of years ago. Now, maybe they're a poor team to point to because they had the sign-stealing scandal. But, Jim Harbaugh took a pay cut, and then they started winning. They got to the playoff a handful of seasons consecutively, and it led to a national championship. I do think Gundy schematically is always willing to reinvent, but you do just wonder. I mean, he's got a completely new coaching staff. Like, it's all new. 10 new coaches, a bunch of new players. Most of them, even at Big 12 Media Day, he's like, I haven't seen him play in person. And he was candid about it. So I am really interested to see what Oklahoma State becomes. And then I think you got some steady coaches with Kleiman, Lance Leipold, Willie Fritz at Houston. I think he's on the uptick with Houston, and then Sonny Dykes at TCU. Dykes, he had a slow start last year, and you thought, ooh, this could get a little interesting, but 9-4.
We forget they won 9 games.
Yes.
And this is the reason I'm picking TCU is because at your peril, try to dock them on their talent. TCU gets the best recruits out of the state of Texas that are not Texas and Texas A&M. I mean, that's that. And right now, Texas Tech has been buying guys, but people like going to TCU. Sonny Dykes is easy to play for in the sense that you get there and go, hey, we're going to put up 45 points a game, and Josh Hoover is set to possibly have a really, really good year. I like that guy, and that's why I like TCU. I don't know. Every one of these guys, when they sit down, I'm like, gosh, these are some greasy salesmen, and I'm falling for every one of them. They really are.
It is a good collection of coaches. I think this is a fun, dynamic group of coaches in the Big 12, and it should make for some incredible storylines this season in the league. Let's take a break. On the other side, we'll get to our game of the week here on First and 12 on KSL News Radio. Mitch Harper, Alex Kirry with you, and it's powered by KSL Sports.